Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there. Welcome to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. Today, I want to talk about a topic that is both incredibly challenging and incredibly rewarding, and that is embracing vulnerability. So, I absolutely 100% believe that when you are living as your truest, most authentic self, life actually gets easier. There's no image to uphold, there's no facade to display. You're truly just showing up as you every single day, being who you truly are. And that's when you get there is incredibly easy to do. You don't have to be anyone else other than just who you are. It really just brings so much freedom, and it just allows us to be in alignment in our lives, like day in and day out. We just feel better, really, when we show up as our true, authentic selves. However, one of the biggest challenges to actually being able to show up in this way is your ability to embrace vulnerability. Because when you start to sort of let down this guard, let down the image, the facade that you've probably been kind of holding yourself behind, it can be really challenging. It can be really, really difficult to embrace your fears, embrace your insecurities, and all of that is necessary to be truly vulnerable and to really show up as who you truly are on the inside. For me, when I was really, really deep in this process, which of course I'm still going through it, I'm still breaking down barriers and becoming more of who I really am, because I do believe that this growth and evolution is a lifelong thing. But when I was really, really deep in this place of becoming much more vulnerable and authentic, I would literally just cry sometimes and just feel like I would call it this sense of cracking open, almost as if I was kind of cracking this outer shell that I had had around me for so many years. And I felt so raw and just exposed, essentially. And so I was just so much more sensitive to things. I was so much more sensitive to the experiences of my life. And while that was really difficult in a lot of situations, once I would kind of get through that a little bit and kind of process it and really think about what was actually happening in that moment, I would feel this new sense of joy and aliveness that I had never felt before. Because while, yes, the challenges and the difficulties of life felt more challenging and difficult, the good things feel so much better. There's just this different level of joy that you can't experience when you have those walls up around you. There's this aliveness that you can't experience in your life when you're not fully embracing every experience that's happening to you. I could feel that I was truly opening myself up to this new level of fulfillment and this new level, this new sense of purpose in my life that I had never experienced before. And it was really that aspect of it that kept me going, that kept me moving forward. Because It was challenging. It was very difficult to start to feel all of the bad feelings inside of me. But the good feelings were just so incredibly good that I was able to continue and move forward through this process of becoming so much more vulnerable and open and authentic. So basically, when we crack the shell around us, or we break down these walls, these barriers that we've kind of been hiding behind throughout our lives, we just become more open. We become more exposed to all of the situations that are happening for us. And yes, some of those are difficult. Some of those are very challenging, but some of them are incredible and amazing. And you just are able to just experience this whole new level of joy and excitement and aliveness in your life that you've probably never even felt before. You realize that embracing vulnerability, it means acknowledging that this pain and this joy are two sides of the same coin. One of the mentors that I've had in my life says this all the time. Life is 50-50. It's never going to be all amazing or all terrible. So when you have opened up to this experience, you see that both things are true. Life is really difficult, and also life is truly amazing. And without being able to open yourself up to this and be vulnerable, be authentic in who you really are, there's this buffer. You're not really feeling the full extent of either, which means that you are missing out on the extraordinary experiences that you could be having in your life because you're too fearful and too insecure to face the challenges, to face those fears head on and those insecurities. And probably a lot of you know Dr. Brené Brown talks a lot about vulnerability. She's probably the biggest expert on the topic. And one of her biggest points that she emphasizes is that vulnerability is not weakness. Becoming vulnerable and allowing yourself to be exposed is not weakness. It is the epitome of strength. It's actually the ability to really face anything head on because you're truly vulnerable, you're truly opened up and exposed to everything around you. You have to be very strong in order to be able to do that. When you're showing up vulnerably as who you really are, there are no guarantees about how others might see you. You don't know what others are going to think about you when you show up as who you truly are. And you have to be strong enough to say, it doesn't even matter what these other people think. I am who I am, and I want to be me. I want to show up authentically. And so her research actually shows that vulnerability is necessary if you want to create change in your life. So this level of vulnerability and opening yourself up and exposing who you truly are underneath it all is, in my opinion, one of the very first crucial steps in creating change in your life. So while creating change and being able to move your life in a different direction is obviously a great thing, because many of us would like to make changes in our life and really get unstuck from where we are. While that obviously is a great thing, I wanted to kind of go through some of the other benefits to embracing vulnerability. So number one, I think, is just this deeper and more meaningful level of connection with other people. When you're able to fully show up as yourself and be vulnerable with another person, it just creates this deeper level of connection, because then they truly see you. They see you for who you are. And generally, when you are showing up in that way, when you're being vulnerable with another person, kind of opens this door for them to feel safe to do the same with you. And so then you end up creating this relationship where they see you for who you are and you see them for who they truly are. And it creates this different bond, this different level of connection that is just so much more meaningful. And I think that is something that most people want in their lives. They want those deep, meaningful connections with other people, but it's just not truly possible unless you're able to really, really be vulnerable and show up exactly as who you are in that relationship. Number two is greater emotional resilience. When you are able to feel vulnerability and you're able to just show up in life and deal with all of the fears and insecurities that are coming up from being vulnerable, then you become stronger. You become stronger over time because you build this capacity to just deal with whatever comes your way, whatever reactions from other people, whatever feelings come up for yourself in those situations. You're getting this new experience. You're practicing it over and over again. And so you get better at handling those things. You get better at dealing with the challenges that come up along whatever journey you're on. You've created this level of emotional resilience, and that is absolutely so key to any journey to change in your life. And finally, number three is increased joy and fulfillment in your life. When you're opening yourself up to all of the experiences of your life, you actually get to experience the joy and the fulfillment that is there. You get to experience this feeling of aliveness that is possible when you're allowing yourself to truly feel and truly show up as your most authentic self. There's just so much more to life than what we have experienced hiding behind these walls or having this shield around us, protecting us from all of the different things. It also buffers the good things. It doesn't allow you to truly, fully experience all of the goodness that is available in your life. And so, being vulnerable, opening yourself up in this way, being truly authentic, it lends itself to this increased level of joy and fulfillment and passion that is available to you in this life. Okay, so now I've explained the case for embracing this vulnerability. So I want to talk about some ways to start taking action. Number one is self-reflection. And if you've been following along here, you're probably noticing a theme. I am really big on self-reflection, on journaling, thoughts, feelings, everything out in front of you and processing it from this new lens. And so one way that you can start to really embrace vulnerability is to start reflecting on what are your fears? What are your insecurities? What are these things that have built up a wall or shell around you? What are the things that keep you from showing up vulnerably in any given situation? What are you afraid of happening? What are the things that you think might happen if you expose who you truly are? And so this looks like journaling, writing it down, getting out pen and paper, and just taking truly even just like 5 minutes to write about this, to think about it, will help you in changing your perspective on it. Number two is to start sharing your story. Start talking to some of the people that you're closest to, people who you trust, and share with them. Share with them in this really open and vulnerable way. You can start telling them some of the things that you journaled about, some of the things that came up for you that were fears and insecurities that you're holding on to. Talk to them about it. Talk to them about how you really feel like these things have been holding you back and you're trying to open up more and allow yourself to have a different experience of life. And I think most of the time when you start doing this, you're going to get a good response from people. If you're sharing this with someone who you really trust and who is truly a good friend or relative or whomever, and they have your best interests at heart, generally they're going to applaud you for sharing so vulnerably your truth with them. They're going to feel like this feels great that he or she is sharing with me in this way and opening up to me in this way. And likely they will start doing the same with you. And then you can start to kind of experience that increased level of connection with this other person that is available when you start doing this. And number 3 is seek support. Consider getting guidance and support from a coach or a therapist or someone who is in the role of just being there and holding space for you to go through this process, for you to go on this journey of truly embracing vulnerability, embracing who you are authentically. When you have someone who is there to truly just allow you to be and allow you to experiment with this opening up, it gives you this safe space to be able to do it. There's no judgment. There's no reaction really, other than support and assistance and just someone there to hold your hand and help guide you through kind of each layer that you're going through in this process. I think the biggest key to all of this is self-compassion, because without self-compassion, you're not going to be able to really work through all of the things that are coming up for you, because there will be things that come up for you. We all have some fears, some insecurities. We all worry about being judged or being thought of in a certain way. That's completely normal. That's just because we all have human brains, and evolution essentially has made us create those types of fears and insecurities because, years and years and years and years ago, it was important to be accepted and to be embraced by the community, because if you weren't, you're left out on your own to fend for yourself and probably won't make it on your own. So we've basically evolved as a species to care about what other people think of us. So that is completely normal if you're feeling that way. Understand that you're not alone in having those thoughts or those feelings about how you're perceived. That is totally normal. And so understanding that and understanding that it's okay to butt up against some of these things. It's okay that you've built up this wall around you, because that is what most people do in life. Most people are not taught from a young age how to really feel and experience things in a vulnerable way, because it's just not the typical human condition. But it is necessary for change. And if you want to be able to live a life where you are your most authentic self, which I think truly, like I said at the beginning, is the easiest path. It is. And while it is difficult and challenging to get to that place, once you're able to be there and you're able to be open and just show up as yourself, things do become easier. There's no facade that you need to stand behind at all times, no image that you have to keep up all the time. And that gets really hard. That gets really challenging to constantly worry and think about how others might be perceiving you. And so showing up just as yourself, who you are, is really just easy. It's who you are. So basically, the takeaway is that I hope that you can see now that embracing vulnerability is a courageous and transformative journey. It will allow you to connect so much more deeply with yourself and with others. It builds this emotional resilience that is incredibly helpful when moving through life. And it allows you to truly experience life to the fullest. It allows you to experience new levels of joy and aliveness that aren't available to you otherwise. And it's okay to feel vulnerable. It is a sign of strength and authenticity. So, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation today. With all my love, until next time. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.